Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show today, guys. Mike Johnson finally getting a backbone. Him and Jim Jordan are finally doing what Trump needs to happen. And this is they are hitting back at all these federal district judges big time. So Jim Jordan, the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, has filed subpoenas against the judges that are filing injunctions against Trump. This is a huge win that they actually got through for the Trump administration so they could bring the very judges that are trying to control a sitting president to the floor of Congress to testify under oath why they think that they have a constitutional right to try and control a sitting president when they are only a district judge. They are not the Supreme Court. With this, they will be able to put forth the changes needed to only have the Supreme Court overrule the president in certain circumstances, not just any one of the 800 plus federal district court judges. This is amazing. This is breaking news this morning, guys. I love it because this just shows us that Mike Johnson, Jim Jordan are hitting back at these judges, blocking Trump's agenda. They're making things happen, and they're making sure that justice is served. And for those that are saying that Trump is only trying to help out his billionaire friends, especially those on the left, Trump just came out and said that he is going to let taxes rise for the rich to cover tax breaks for no tax on tips for those people that really need it to make sure that they are getting the help that they need. What an insane move. Guys, every single thing that they've said about Trump is turning out to be a lie. Another thing, guys, we've got a huge election that's happening in Wisconsin. There's a lot of things that are going on. But guess what? Nearly 5,000 allegedly illegal voter registrations were found on the voter rolls just days before the election. They know it, guys. They're trying to change how the House seats that come with it. Elon Musk came out and said we have to help the Republicans win Wisconsin or else the Democrats will turn it blue. But with them finding nearly 5,000 illegal voter registrations, we knew that there was fraud, and they're doing a dang good job of exposing it. And it has come out today, guys. This is hilarious. It's literally freaking out the Democrats that there's a new loophole that has been found in the Constitution that would allow Trump to stay in office and be president until 2037. And the Democrats are freaking out. And yes, we're going to bring the receipts. So a lot of stuff is going on today, guys. Holy moly. Thank you so much for watching. To all of our subscribers and viewers, thank you so much. And if you would consider joining our family, the TrueLife News family, guys, we would appreciate that so much and helping us to bring forth the truth. I want to say thank you to everybody that is a member of the channel and also to everybody that gives a super chat donation like Rosie Figueroa. Y'all show Rosie some love in the chat. Guys, thank you so much as you help us give back to charity because that's what we do with the membership fees and with the super chats. We give it back to charity online, on stream, so that you can see that we are doing some good in this world. We got a ton of breaking news to get into. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor and hitting that thumbs up like button. Guys, the Democrats are in for a rude awakening, guys, because it's all coming back. Check this out.
January the 6th, but that's okay. They haven't won a news cycle since Joe Biden was president, so I don't fault them for trying. But why are they calling for Pete Hegseth's head right now? They want Donald Trump to fire Pete Hegseth because they are awful people, which I will show you in detail, and that's where we start tonight. Fire Pete Hegseth, not Michael Waltz, not the person who added Jeffrey Goldberg to the group chat in the first place, which makes no sense. The media are blaming it all on Pete Hegseth, which makes perfect sense because they didn't want him to be defense secretary in the first place. So they are trying to get him out of office right now, even though he literally had nothing to do with Jeffrey Goldberg being on that group chat. But this is what it's been like. On the other networks, all week long.
Pete Hegseth, which everybody knows he's unqualified to be the defense secretary, is responsible here. Donald Trump should fire Pete Hegseth.
The Secretary of Defense should be fired immediately if he's not man enough to own up to his mistakes and resign in disgrace.
Wow.
You have called for Secretary Hegseth to resign, but do you believe he will?
I don't think so, but I think he should, out of a sense of duty and loyalty to the country.
Oh, the outrage. Suddenly the left cares about things going to plan. But why don't we rewind the clock to August of 2021 in a little event called the Afghanistan withdrawal? Joe Biden, Mark Milley, Lloyd Austin get 13 Americans killed. Here they are. Take a look, Democrats. 13 Americans were killed and almost 200 other people were killed when a suicide bomber drove into a crowd of people at Kabul airport and nobody got fired. In response to that, Joe Biden, Mark Milley, Lloyd Austin ordered a drone strike that missed its target. It ended up hitting a private home in Afghanistan, killing 10 innocent people, including 7 children, the youngest a 4-year-old child. These were innocent people, and nobody was fired. But it gets better. Not only was nobody fired, no one was demoted, no one was reassigned, and Mark Milley called the strike that killed an innocent family with 7 children a righteous strike.
Were there others killed? Yes, there are others killed. Who they are, we don't know. We'll try to sort through all that. But we believe that the procedures at this point, I don't want to influence the outcome of an investigation, but at this point we think that the procedures were correctly followed and it was a righteous strike.
Can you
guys? But what we're seeing here, guys, this is the most hypocritical way of the Democratic Party, because I got more to show you. That no matter what, they can literally blow up half the world, but nobody ever gets fired. Nobody's ever held accountable. But a single message gets leaked, and then nobody dies from it. Nobody gets hurt, and they literally want everybody to resign and get fired. Bunch of hypocrites.
imagine that? A righteous strike and nobody was fired. Fast forward to February 2023, the same people, Joe Biden, Mark Milley, Lloyd Austin, let a Chinese spy balloon fly over the continental United States from Alaska to South Carolina, including over at least 11 U.S. military bases, before it was finally shot down over the Atlantic Ocean. The Pentagon officially characterizing that spy balloon as a surveillance balloon from China, and nobody was fired. Fast forward now, 1 year later to February 2024, and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, our masked avenger, afraid of his own shadow. Lloyd, maybe if you need all of that gear and all of that apparatus, you're not the right guy to lead our troops into battle. Remember that famous painting of Washington crossing the Delaware? Imagine Lloyd Austin crossing the Delaware wearing all of that. In February of last year, Lloyd Austin checked himself into the hospital with cancer. He didn't tell anyone. He didn't tell the president. He didn't tell Congress. He didn't even tell his staff, meaning with a war raging in Ukraine and a war raging in Gaza, no one knew where our defense secretary was for over a week, and nobody was fired. And even today, Democrats don't like being asked about any of this because they know that they sound completely ridiculous.
Did you call for Lloyd Austin's resignation? Not only did we lose 13 service members, we left $70 billion worth of equipment that fell into the hands of the Taliban. A couple of years later, he was out of pocket for 2 weeks and didn't tell the White House. Did you ask for him to resign at this point? Are you actually asking for Hegseth and Walsh to resign when you didn't ask for Lloyd Austin?
There is nothing that Lloyd Austin did by getting health care treatment.
Okay, what about Afghanistan?
What about Afghanistan?
Let's forget that. The statute of limitations is over for 4 years.
In 4 years, after one mistake followed by another mistake, Joe Biden never fired anyone, not Merrick Garland for being such a terrible lawyer, not Alejandro Mayorkas for being such a terrible person, not Antony Blinken for being perhaps the worst American diplomat in history. If his job was to start wars and then keep them going, mission accomplished, Antony. Not Mayor Pete for East Palestine, Ohio, or the supply chain crisis, or the baby formula crisis. Not Kamala Harris for doing nothing as borders are, but letting in millions of illegal aliens. Here is what a real defense secretary looks like, Lloyd. Take a look.
I love this. Guys, if you love this and appreciate this, guys, this is real boots on the ground, being there with the guys, but this is what I'm talking about. The Democrats have nothing to stand on because there's too many examples where they never do anything right. Monte Grayak, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Appreciate you. Y'all show Monty some love in the chat. And if you don't mind hitting that a thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support, everybody. Let's go.
And this right here is what a real vice president looks like, Kamala. This is what being likable looks like. In fact, Kamala, you got 4 years until you run again. Maybe you should study this video right here. J.D. Vance wanted to have lunch with his fellow Marines. Take a look. So J.D. Vance, they told us he was weird. This is just a normal guy. And look at his hat. Once a Marine, always a Marine. He sat down with fellow Marines and had breakfast. That's what being vice president looks like. Learn from that, Kamala. The left are just so completely lost, and everyone thinks all of this is a new thing, but guess what? None of this is a new thing. They've always been lost. It's just all finally being exposed. Did you know that after Pearl Harbor, George Bush Sr. lied about his age and enlisted in the Navy, and at one point was the youngest fighter pilot in the U.S. Navy? The point that I'm making is that men in the old days would lie about their age to fight for this country. But today, because of Democrats, men are lying about their gender so they can beat women in sports. That's what we've become. And any call to fire Pete Hegseth or Michael Waltz by Democrats should be answered with laughter, because Democrats are not serious people.
They're not. And it's hilarious because even though they may try to make these rogue judges, the president, more powerful than the president, Mike Johnson and Jim Jordan are hitting back at judges, blocking Trump's agenda, and they're kicking their butts, guys. Like, this makes me so happy because when you look at the injunctions filed, you can see right here, look at this. Trump's first term, 64 injunctions compared to Bush's 6, only 12 in Obama's entire 8-year presidency, 14 to Biden, and now we're already at 15. You cannot, nobody can say that this is not biased. Nobody can say that this is not one-sided because the numbers and the data doesn't lie. But this is why everybody with common sense is saying, this ain't right. There's no way this is right. And like I said, guys, they are freaking out right now because when it comes to the pit bulls that are in Congress right now, they don't care anymore. They're going to put America first. Anybody that tries to overstep them, they're getting kicked to the side. Look at our girl, Marjorie Taylor Green. Check this out.
Yep. Anybody else?
Should the defense secretary...
What country are you? Wait, what country are you from?
The UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion
Boom.
and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
Okay,
and no. You should care about your own borders.
Do you care about American lives being put at risk?
Let me tell you something. Do you care about people from your country? What about all the women that are raped by migrants?
Do you care
No,
about...
by migrant. No, do you care? Okay, you're done.
Do you care about American lives being put at risk?
You know what? I don't care.
Service members fighting for your country.
I don't care about your fake news. Do you have a relevant question? Yeah, this is an American journalist. Thank you.
I'm an American.
Dang.
Your answer to what she's asking.
I'm not answering her question because I don't care about her network. If you would like to ask, I can answer.
Do you have any concerns whatsoever about the complete disregard of operational security from the top level of this administration.
You want to know about complete disregard about operational security? You should talk about the Biden administration and how they ripped our borders open to terrorist, cartel, child sex trafficking, human trafficking, and drug trafficking across our borders for 4 years. The Trump administration is doing a great job, and I stand by their statements. I stand by their statements. My comment to you is I'm thankful to President Trump that he is leading us out of wars, that he's ending the war in Ukraine, where American lives could have been killed if Joe Biden was still president today, whether he liked it or not. We're talking about NPR and PBS today. We're talking about fake news that was funded with federal funding from American taxpayers. That's what this is about today, not journalists from the UK that should care about their...
A journalist is being vilified for...
Boom, baby. They don't care anymore, guys, because let me tell you this. The whole UK, they are literally becoming a different country. They're literally being controlled, and it's something that a lot of people had no idea about. Guys, I bring the receipts right here. England is being conquered essentially by another country. The mayor of London is Muslim. The mayor of Birmingham is Muslim. The mayor of Leeds is Muslim. The mayor of Blackburn is Muslim. Am I saying this is wrong? No. They allowed this. Cool for them. Good for them. I'm just showing you that things are changing because of immigration foreign policy. And if the country starts to change, don't get mad about it because you elected these leaders into place. Look at this. All their main cities are being controlled by Muslim. And what are the Muslims doing? They're changing the laws. And now they're getting rid of a lot of the Christianity that was there and replacing it with like a Muslim and mosque and things like that. If that's what they want, good for them. I'm just showing you that there's things that are happening across the world that you probably would never have thought about. But this is, again, stuff that Trump says we got to keep America safe. We're not just going to let people walk into our country. We're not just going to let them try to come in and control what is ours. We're going to protect America. And if you don't like it, then leave. And that's what I love is he's standing up for Americans even in the face of this right here, guys. Check this out.
There's a sinking ship on the Potomac, and Democrats are fighting over who gets the life vests, you or the purple-haired atheist. And your fate has been decided. All the party bigwigs met at a DNC leadership forum last month. Party insiders described it like this, quote, "It was a bunch of people politely discussing how many deck chairs on the Titanic should be reserved for transgender people. Democrats are taking on water, and they know not where the lifeboats are. One strategist says, I don't know if we realize how effed we are right now as a brand. The Times says, screw it. Forget steering to shore. There's an iceberg on the left. Go for it. Quote, there is evidence that the process of moderation has the potential to result in unintended adverse consequences. There appears to be very little electoral advantage from running to the center. But changing the Titanic's captain means nothing if the captain's tampon. He's on the road again. No, not at Tiananmen Square. He saves that trip for the anniversary in June. He's in Texas with a list of demands. More DEI Thursdays and less Tom Homan.
Our culture proves that our strength is our diversity. We've been talking about this for years as a country of immigrants, and we let them define the issue on immigration. We let them define the issue on DEI, and we let them define what woke is. We got ourselves in this mess because we weren't bold enough to stand up and say, you damn right we're proud of these policies.
If diversity is his strength, that's a pretty weak audience. But Tampon didn't travel alone. He's got a new wingman, a man who's lost his last 3 elections, Beto.
While you're twiddling your thumbs and playing nice and trying to be bipartisan, they are killing your country and taking away democracy. So we are either going to fight or we are going to surrender, and I plan on fighting.
Beto's going to fight, plans on fighting. Why isn't he fighting now? And what does fight even mean? And what kind of name is Beto? Then Timmy had an epiphany. Old white men have got to go.
And to all the young people who are here, I just pause for a moment and look around and look at, I'm especially talking about these old white guys who seem to disappoint us on a regular basis in this country.
Tampons and old white guys.
Guys, you cannot make this up. If you appreciate the truth, but if you appreciate that, hey, we got to keep him doing these speeches, because if he keeps doing these speeches, we're 100% going to win in 2026 and 2028. And if you don't mind, guys, hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support.
Who disappoints? Why doesn't he step aside? Why doesn't that whole audience step aside? And old black guys disappoint too. Remember Barack? Gus gets it.
Got an 18-year-old Gus, and I'm with Gus out there, and I'm having one of those dad talks with him. I was giving Gus my wisdom on what he had done wrong. You know, I was because I know these things, right? I'm the dad. In the middle of it, he gives me the old, says the guy who got his ass kicked by Donald Trump. And I'm like, okay.
And while Walls may not be VP, he's adopted some new pronouns. ED, election denier.
They've released analyses of election data out of Clark County, Nevada, that show some pretty convincing evidence of election tampering. What can we do to make sure, A, that the midterms actually happen, and B, that they're free of fraud?
We see one of the first things they do is try and restrict the vote. This is one of the things, though, that this is going to take power to the streets. And look, I don't know what the answer is on this, but I've been saying this. I think we need a shadow government.
Tampon just said the election was rigged, storm the streets, and form a shadow government.
You gotta be kidding
And the
me.
media doesn't even care because it's just Tampon being Tampon. Well, Timmy Walsh says MAGA Republicans should crawl under a rock. Bill Maher's flying to D.C. to have dinner at the White House.
It was presented as
A dare.
not a dare. No, just like, maybe this is a beginning to heal America. I mean, it's kind of a Nixon to China thing. I'm impressed by it a lot. I'm impressed the out of it. I get to go to the White House, and yes, that is the structure of this dinner, is just let's talk. Let's talk to each other face to face. Let's not stop shouting from 3,000 miles away.
Former Illinois
Guys,
Governor
let me
Rob
tell you
Blagojevich.
this is big stuff is moving. Remember, Trump signed an executive order saying that all states need to have paper ballots and federal ID. So I've got this to show you guys, because Elon Musk came out and said every state should require voter ID. So if you look at this, guys, let's look at California, New Mexico, Oregon. Look at New York, New Jersey, Illinois. All these states know nothing. You can literally walk up and just sign a signature. I could be John Doe. I could be Sally Cusack. I could be John Fetterman. Sign my initials, my signatures, vote, and they would never know. I can go to multiple districts and vote, and they would never know in these states. Why? Because they don't check and they have no verification. You can't even show them your voter ID, or they'll be like, no, please don't, we'll get in trouble. Voter ID in every single state. We will be red for the next 30 years in every single election if there's voter ID. Common sense wins out. Thank you so much, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, for the super chat. Let's go. He said, I wish could give gift memberships again. I'm trying hard to get this all back, but when I do, the family will grow tenfold when this happens. Love this, America. We're all in now. True Life News is the place to be. Let's go. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat. And Mr. Norby, don't forget, send me a screenshot of what happens when you try to gift and send it to truelifenewsyt@gmail.com. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat. Guys, again, too, the common sense is winning out. And now the whole, the new polling that is coming out since Elon Musk and the top level DOGE executives have done their whole just unraveling of what they're actually doing behind the scenes. even more of the country is behind DOGE now. Because they said, it makes sense. It makes sense. Chris, RD44, I think I could pass for John Fetterman. Are you sure? I mean, when you think like the leftists do, hey, it's your own reality. It's your own truth, right? Check this out.
And joining me now is one of my favorite senators, Louisiana Senator John Kennedy. All right, Senator, one of the most jarring things we learned is about how much fraud there was, particularly with Social Security. Take a listen.
At Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information. So when you want to change your bank account, you can call Social Security. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters. 40%? That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say, they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day. And then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security.
You know, Senator, it's the way they've committed crimes for years. You just take another address, you call them and tell them that you moved.
Yep.
I think, Judge, that Mr. Musk and his team's efforts to control spending are the most important in the history of ever, certainly in my lifetime. My Democratic colleagues would prefer that we ask who needs to pay more in taxes. The American people want us to ask what the hell happened to the money. Since 2019, America's population is up 2%. Spending's up 55%. President Biden's favorite type of spending was more. This led to inflation and debt. But it wasn't just the quantity, it was the quality, as Mr. Musk is showing us. A lot of this money that we're spending, things that we're spending money on are just money sucks. They're spending porn. We'd be better off spending this money on scratch tickets and blackjack. And we will never get prices down and control inflation until we deregulate the economy so goods and services will cost less, until we design a tax code that looks like somebody designed it on purpose, and until we control spending. That's just Econ 101.
I agree, but Senator, I hope that Elon is listening tonight, because we have a suggestion on the next DOGE cut, Biden's broadband plan. Take a listen.
More than 3 years ago, Congress created the $42.5 billion BEAD program to bring broadband services to unserved parts of the country. But to date, it has not connected a single household to the internet. The Biden administration chose to add a host of conditions to the funding that made it unworkable for many providers.
And you know, Senator, it kind of reminds me of all those electric vehicle charging stations. How many billions went into that? And they were like, none up.
Well, that's why I voted against the Inflation Reduction Act. It appropriated $42 billion to give internet to people who don't have it. We haven't given it to anybody. We need to start over. The Department of Commerce needs to throw out the old rule, and we need to start over. But let me make one other point, Judge. I want to make a general suggestion to Mr. Musk and the president. Number one, I think part of the problem is that Mr. Musk has not talked enough, other than on Twitter, and his team have not talked enough about what they've been doing and why they're doing it. They need to hold a press conference every 2 weeks for the press and the American people to say, this is what we've done, this is what we found, this is how we did it. Number two, I begged the president last week, and I'm going to keep begging. When Mr. Musk gets rid of waste, he's sued, and the judges enjoin it. The only way for us to get rid of this spending porn permanently is for the president to send us over what's called a rescission bill.
Right.
Pick 10 or 20 of the worst evidences or the worst items of waste and say, Congress, I want you to get rid of it. And let us get rid of it and make the Democrats vote on it.
Well, you know, it sounds like a great idea, and I agree with you, Senator, because so many people thought the DOGE team was a bunch of kids in hoodies in a basement somewhere, a bunch of thugs. They're billionaires, businessmen who were putting their lives on hold, who were willing to answer all the questions, who have a website set up. I mean, everything is on the up and up, and the only thing the Democrats can say is that somebody may lose a Social Security check when they don't have a fact to add. But let me read this. Senator, they tell me I have to wrap with you. Thanks so much. It's great having you on the show.
Guys, I'm telling you, I got some big news right here, guys, because this is huge. If you appreciate this, guys, this is transparency. He's going after every single federal department, cleaning up, making sure it's efficient. Elon Musk and DOGE will soon be digging into the CIA. CIA Director John Ratcliffe invited Elon to DOGE meeting at CIA HQ this coming Monday. Boom, baby. If you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. Gene Copedge, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Said my pronoun is whosoever. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Amen. I love it. Y'all show Gene some love in the chat. And George Soto, welcome to the family. Y'all show George some love in the chat as well. Guys, this again too. Look at this said, the amount of dark money flowing through that agency is insane. I don't doubt that every single agency in the United States federal government has fraud, waste, abuse, and every single one of them needs to be investigated. That's how you get to $1 trillion in savings. But what I love is that just like Elon Musk said, we're exposing everybody. We're showing everybody everything that we're doing, and look, now, guys, think about this. Now, since guess what? They're about to release all the JFK files and things like that. Look what just popped up from NBC. NBC allegedly has a secret tape showing Lee Harvey Oswald near JFK's limo during the assassination, making it nearly impossible for him to have been the shooter, according to Representative Anna Paulina Luna, a congresswoman, sitting congresswoman. Guys, if everything is not being exposed, I don't know what is. And this is what I love. What's new? Let's go. Gifting 5 TrueLife News memberships. Hey, if you got a membership from What's New, show What's New some love in the chat. Growing the TrueLife News family. I love it. Man, this is awesome, guys. I love, we're growing the family. We're giving back more than we've ever have been, and it's all because of you. But again, too, guys, when it all boils down, it's always going to boil down to the money. Where's the money coming from? Where is it going? And how is it affecting you, the average American? Listen to this.
Last thing, do you guys all see this as a patriotic duty? I mean, is that really what this is about?
It's essential.
Right. I do, 100%. I was running 5 businesses in Houston, and I left. I feel like this is me giving back to the country.
Unless this exercise is successful, the ship of America will sink. That's why we're doing it.
That was Elon Musk and his DOGE team, and they are offering an unprecedented look behind the curtain of President Trump's cost-cutting operation, taking a Silicon Valley approach to Washington's worst-kept secret, rampant waste and incompetence. We want to dig into this because Elon Musk is calling it a revolution. It's time to make the bloated, plotting government work for the American people. The DOGE team isn't just talking about budget cuts. They are talking about a full-scale modernization, overhauling archaic systems and bringing them into the 21st century.
The first thing that got me really excited about DOGE was learning basically the state of government computers. By some estimates, government IT costs about $100 billion, and it's funding systems that are over 50 years old.
There are multiple systems across the government where the systems are not speaking with one another, and if you just solve that simple problem, you would solve a huge amount of fraud.
They're not just exposing the mess, they're rebuilding the system. Musk's crew includes tech heavyweights like Airbnb's co-founder, SpaceX rocket scientists, and entrepreneurs who run billion-dollar businesses.
Yes.
And they're bringing receipts, like the $1 billion survey asking, do you like the national park? Or the fact that the youngest recipient of an SBA loan was a very ambitious 9-month-old baby. Musk says that they want to model the whole thing like an Apple store, efficient, user-friendly, and actually functional. It's a crazy concept for a system designed to be disorganized, antiquated, and elaborate. Bottom line, if they're exposing billion-dollar boondoggles this casually, what is lurking in those dusty filing cabinets? And I'm sure we're going to hear more about it. But Steve, I want to get your take on last night's interview that Brett did with Elon Musk and his team, because the Democrats are so against DOGE, but when you hear them talk about some of the things they're working on, and you understand their backgrounds and bringing business perspective to it, you say, how could anybody be against this?
Well, what it is not just getting out fraud, waste, and abuse. It's exposing the huge underground of the way this party and the far left have been financed. They throw out the money, Treasury has no...
You hear that, guys? How they've been financed. He said financed. I say financed. The USAID, all the Act Blue, all this money has been funneled in certain ways, and this is what they're allegedly saying, is that this is how even like not Hillary Clinton, but Kamala Harris got up to like $2 billion to fund her campaign, was using our taxpayer dollars funneled through all of these systems and then giving it back to her through Act Blue. And now we've stopped their gravy train. I promise you, in the midterms and in 2028, the amount of money spent on those elections will be half of what it was spent in 2024, because they don't have the U.S. tax dollar, the taxpayers' dollar anymore.
Idea where it's going, so it goes from one group to another individual, sort of money laundering for ideological purposes. And now it's being exposed, it's going to be rooted out, and that's what they're really angry about. You're taking away their source of secret power.
Absolutely.
Boom.
And they've been bilking the system for years and years. I think that's what they're really angry about. Brian, I'll come to you just to talk a little bit about some of the things that they're working on specifically. I mean, they're no-brainers. When he's talking about making the computer systems more efficient and how much money you can save and how much they've saved so far and are on track to do, you think about President Trump's overall plan. All the pieces have to come together. Cost-cutting, DOGE, is one of those pieces.
Yeah, and they're talking about a lot of guts stuff right here, which I like. You know, computer systems are guts. Having the wrong people on the rolls are guts. 9 months old getting, and that was that Millie maybe applying for that small business loan?
No, yeah, maybe a year ago,
I appreciate her entrepreneurship. She should not be getting that loan. That's all gut stuff, and I like that. Here's what I liked about these guys. They look like the kind of guys who would be good at that.
Yeah.
They sounded like the kind of guys who would be good at that. They know their stuff. They've run multiple businesses. They understand what an efficient operation looks like. They spoke to that last night. You used the word they brought receipts. They brought receipts last night. It was unglamorous competence in that interview last night. That's what I love. Now, I'll say this. I get a little worried about them talking about making the government run like an Apple store. I don't want a beautiful government. I want a small government. And if we try to make it too slick and too user-friendly, to me, that's an invitation to grow what it does. I don't want that to happen. So that's my only quibble, is I don't want an Apple store government. I want a kiosk government.
Well, a
really
lot of
small.
people honed in on the Apple Store comparison, Taylor, and they loved it. You know, I mean, there could be two sides to this
could be wrong
point.
on that one, yeah.
That maybe it's not all glitz and glamour, but, you know, you walk into the Apple Store for help, you get it quickly and fast and walk out and go on with your life.
And I hate to say it, when we go into the Apple Store, tech support, right? That's what we need. We need the tech support. We need an Apple Store type government. Brian, I hear you, but something that is user-friendly, that basically, remember I was talking, was it a couple months ago, about how Workday was talking their book, but they said the government's a huge opportunity for us. If DOGE would come in and use our systems, imagine how seamless it could be if we were all just on the same HR platform. Imagine that. What a concept. Easy, seamless, with apps talking to each other so there isn't that overlap. There's been a lot of criticism, I think, about the way DOGE has started to do things. A lot of people said they're shooting at the hip first and kind of just being willy-nilly and then asking questions later. And I really like that Musk dispelled that. And he said, we measure twice, if not thrice, and only cut once. That's not to say we don't make mistakes, but if we don't make mistakes, then that's like someone at baseball has got to bat 1,000. They're not trying to bat 1,000, but they don't want to make, but they're trying to be thoughtful. And I think there has been a lot of criticism that they're using, what is it, the machete instead of a scalpel. And I think he tried to say we are measuring things and cutting it carefully, but there are going to be a little mistakes. Frankly, and I'm okay, and I'm glad that he sort of reiterated that that's the approach they're taking.
Yeah, and he had said that in a past interview, too. That had really struck me as well, which is honest. Or actually, he said it in the Oval Office with President Trump one day when little X was, like, crawling all over him. He was talking about the fact that mistakes happen, and that's normal, you know, a normal part of it, but that it's important to be transparent about it. And the American...
And guys, again, it's all about the transparency. It's all about us being able to actually know what the heck is going on with our government and with the money that we send to the government, and knowing that we don't just have politicians that are constantly just living off all of our money. Thank you so much, Summerman, for the super chat. Let's go. He said, let's all remember to not forget it, that God is the one who got us here today, and always praise God. Amen. Y'all show Superman some love in the chat. Guys, this popped up, and it is one of the most iconic clips in all of American history. I have to show you this so you can have a good laugh today, because this is amazing.
I've changed the law. What's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. All he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it.
The most iconic debate clip in all of history. Yeah, I don't know what he just said. I don't think he knows what he just said either. Guys, if you appreciate this, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button. Oh my goodness, when that crossed over my feed again, I was like, yes, yes. And I want to show you this too, real quick, because this actually was posted by the Joe Rogan podcast for us to never forget, guys. Don't ever forget. This is what they posted from the White House in Biden. For the unvaccinated, you're looking at a winter of severe illness and death for yourselves, your families, and the hospitals you may soon overwhelm. They put that on the White House archives. That's literally what they put. That is insane for the unvaccinated. I'm unvaccinated. Guys, this is insane. But again, too, that's why what I'm about to show you next is super important, because they're trying to still control you through the courts. Check this out.
We have a serious thing to talk about here. So we've gone through with this show a series of massive consequences for people who cheated in the election, and people are actually getting arrested for this and charged. In Connecticut, there are Democrats who are facing 92 separate charges for conspiracy for ballot rigging and mass ballot election fraud. Now, I heard there was no such thing as mass election fraud that changed the election results. That's clearly untrue, Mike. What should happen to people who are caught cheating?
Well, they should be thrown in prison for election fraud. And the Democrats say there's no election fraud. And then when they get caught with election fraud, they say, well, there's not enough election fraud to overturn the election. And then when you find election fraud to overturn the election, they call you an election denier. So obviously, there's fraud. Why else do you think Democrats have mass imported 15 million illegal immigrants into our country and then made it very easy for them to register to vote and made it very hard to stop them when they oppose the SAVE Act? Of course, they're importing these voters. It's, they used to say that Tucker talks about this massive conspiracy theory called the replacement theory. Well, what the hell do you think they're doing under Joe Biden for the last 15 years? I would just say this. Let's just cut a deal, Ben. Let's just tell the Democrats, if you don't mass import Tren de Aragua foreign terrorists who are going to rape, kidnap, torture, and murder Americans, and you don't import international gangbangers like MS-13 and 15 million other illegal immigrants, we will just mail the ballots to them in El Salvador and Guatemala and what other third world hellhole from which they came, and so they can just vote from there, and we don't have the resulting crime and chaos. And we'll even count the population of El Salvador in California's census count next time. So that will solve both of the Democrats' problems. They want more House seats in blue states, and they want more illegal voters.
I'm not sure I'm down with that plan, Mike. I'm going to have to think about it. I'm not sure I'm down. I can see downsides to this plan. But, it's a very interesting one. It's about as interesting as a judge saying, you know what, I'm going to demand that you actually import more terrorism to this country, which is what's been happening. Judge Boasberg, the luckiest judge on earth, man. I mean, he's just been handed all of Trump's cases. And so it reminds me of a dear friend of the show, Juan Merchan.
It's rigged.
Where you just got Steve Bannon's cases and Peter Navarro's cases and all the Trump cases. Very unique how this always happens in these districts. This guy also, we've been doing some research, Mike. This guy was the one who let Ray Epps walk. He's a guy who did a slap on the wrist for Russia Gators, for the people who lied in the FISA court. Boy, oh boy, what luck of the draw, right? I got to go to a casino with Judge Boasberg. He's just the luckiest guy ever. He gets every case that the deep state needs squashed, and he gets every case against Trump that could kneecap the presidency. What do you make of this, Mike?
Yeah, D.C. Obama Judge Jeb Boasberg, and he's actually the most moderate of the Marxists on the D.C. court. He's only 95% Marxist instead of 100% Marxist, like someone like Tanya Chuckett. So, look, it's not random at all that he got these cases. It's supposed to be random, but what are the odds? 1 in 10 million that he keeps getting all these Trump cases like Merchan, as you said. And what this judge has done has crossed the red line. Let's step back and let's just give your audience an overview of what happens. We have President Trump winning the election, a broad electoral mandate to cut government spending with Elon Musk, to secure our border, and to get foreign terrorists, international gangbangers, and other illegal immigrants the hell out of our country. And President Trump is actually doing the unthinkable in Washington. He's actually doing what he promised Americans he would do, and he's doing it very fast. The American people like what he's doing. They gave him a comfortable majority in the Senate. They gave them the House again, and they want him to execute on his campaign promises of cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, and getting rid of these illegal immigrants, including terrorists and gangbangers, right? And so the Democrats have nowhere to run. So they're running to these activist judges, particularly in Washington, D.C. They're getting these illegal temporary restraining orders that aren't temporary, and then they're trying to sabotage the presidency. They're trying to sabotage President Trump over policy and political disagreements. They are the election deniers. The American people just put President Trump in office to do what he's doing, right? And so they're sabotaging him, and it's not only unconstitutional, it's not only illegal, it's very dangerous. Trump is not stealing Congress's legislative powers under Article 1. He's not stealing the Supreme Court's judicial powers under Article 3. He's exercising core Article 2 powers to secure our border, to deport dangerous terrorists, to make sure we're not funding Hamas terrorists who are going to kill Americans under the guise of humanitarian relief to Gaza. He's making sure we're not funding transgender mice research and Durka lands, and so what happened is you had a Judge Allie, this Canadian citizen, he's still a Canadian citizen, who got jammed through in the lame duck session onto the D.C. District Court. He bragged he's the first Muslim. He bragged he's the first Arab. He's delivering for for Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood because he's ordering the president to send $2 billion in foreign aid over the president's national security review. And then that emboldened Boasberg to order the president to turn around planes during the middle of a national security operation to get our worst terrorists out of America. That endangered lives. That is why I'm calling for Boasberg's impeachment right now. Even if he doesn't get impeached, and removed, I want him to feel the political pain. I want him to go through the process. I want the process to be the punishment as a deterrent.
Mike, this stunned us yesterday. I'm rarely shocked on this program. We've covered it all. And you've been part of that. And you're regularly live as we cover these insane moments in American history that you can't even believe are real. It's like straight out of a movie when you watch Fannie Willis get up there with a dress that's zipped wrong on, backwards, upside down flag pin, waving stuff around with her wig falling off. It's like, it's really special. It's like fun, you know? And she got the Jasmine Crockett eyelashes. The point is that I'm rarely shocked. And I was shocked when I read this headline about the district court in D.C., a third of the judges are foreigners.
Yep.
Bro, what kind of a clown car are we running around here? Like a third of the judges weren't born in this country, have an allegiance to another country. How is that possible? How can we can't fix this?
So the foreign born is less of a problem than they're still foreign citizens. Like Judge Cannon down in the Southern District of Florida is foreign born, and she's a patriotic American. My problem is not just that they're foreign born. My problem is that they are still Canadian citizens, like Judge Allie, who brags he's the first Muslim and Arab federal judge in D.C. That is dual allegiance right now. How the hell is Judge Allie still a foreign citizen, right? And how can you be a lifetime appointed judge on the bench and be a foreign citizen? That should be disqualifying. I don't know how the Senate confirmed this guy. He's already really controversial, and then you put this foreign citizen with dual loyalty on the D.C. federal bench.
Would you be in favor of passing legislation that says you must be an American citizen only?
Yes, I think it would require a constitutional amendment because it would be a qualification or disqualification for a federal judge, which is laid out in the Constitution. But regardless, I would say this: how the hell did these Senate Democrats put this guy on the bench, jammed him through in the lame duck session after President Trump won the election on November 5th and Republicans won the Senate on November 5th and kept the House? Biden and Schumer and these Senate Democrats jammed Judge Allie onto the federal bench, onto the D.C. District Courts after the election, and he barely got confirmed. How the hell do you put this guy on the bench? He's a Canadian citizen. He has dual loyalty. His loyalty is not just to America. That's very obvious.
Yeah. Very quickly, we had a member of
guys, and this is again too. A lot of changes, a lot of dismantling is still happening. We just got some breaking news from the leading report over Kristi Noem. So DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is reportedly planning to eliminate FEMA. Remember, Trump talked about it, said we need to eliminate it. Just give it to the states. Stop trying to control everything with a huge, large government like the federal government, having all these bureaucrats in Washington that are getting paid $500,000, $600,000 a year. Use that money and give it to the people that need it the most. Stop paying unelected bureaucrats to control everybody. And I love this because this is promises made, promises kept. And if you appreciate it, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button. Deanna Rankin, thank you so much for the super chat. Said God is in control. He sees what's going on. They must remember we Americans voted for President Trump. So please let him do his job. Thank you, Joel, for your hard work. Let's go. Y'all show Deanna some love in the chat. As well as Mr. Heenanite, who said Robin Voss is a rhino. Please pray for a great turnout this April 1st. Let's go, Wisconsinites. Let's get Schimmel. Let's go. Y'all show Mr. Heenanite some love, as well as Deanna AZ, new here today as a member. I love it. Y'all show Deanna some love in the chat. Guys, y'all are so awesome in your giving and your support of our channel. We are so grateful. And I'm telling you guys, the winning is just keeps on going. They know something. I'm getting close to the camera, guys, because this is a secret. Something's going to happen in 2028 with Trump. And I think I'm like 30% now that he may run again. I was 10% that he would. Now I'm 30%. Listen to this.
Look at what he's burned in the 4 years he was gone. Look how tight this thing is run. And look how these jackals are after him every day. And I'm telling you, people came back on the 4th, 5th of November. It was great. Everybody's celebrating. And then the transition, they're all celebrating. And then they come to the inauguration. They're all dressed up, celebrating. That's fine. That's good. Celebrate. But within the first 100 days, get your pitchforks out. Get your bayonets ready. Because they're going to be coming for Trump. They got to stop it now. That's where they got these radical federal judges are the anvil and the deep state's the hammer. And that's what they hope to crush Trump on, right? They've got to go with these Marxist judges and the entire apparatus that hasn't been taken apart yet. He's going to need more than 4 years to that. And I've got a plan. I'm not going to share it. If we lose the House, and don't think we can't lose it.
You heard him?
People start leaning on their rakes and saying, hey, Trump's in there and I've seen all this great stuff. But yeah, dude, but look at Florida 6. Look at Elise Stefanik. She's a hero. She's a patriot. She's been thinking about that UN job forever. And she went, and she said, hey, if I got to do it, I got to do it. I got to stay in the House because what's going to happen in the House is going to be brutal over the next year, right? And look in Wisconsin. They're out there. If they win that Supreme Court judge vote on the 1st, they're going to take 2 seats right away, redistrict them. That means if Louisiana and North Carolina hold, which I think it will, that means we have to basically, if the redistricting is held in those states, we then have to hold New York and California. Or Hakeem Jeffries is going to Speaker of the House. And Hakeem Jeffries is going to raise $2 billion or $3 billion because up there telling all those billionaires, you give me the money, the first thing I'm going to do in the first week of January 2027 is impeach Donald Trump. They're going to do it. You watch, they're going to do it. They have no plan. It's destroy Trump and imprison the people around him. And if they were to steal the 2028 election, they will put Trump in prison. So in 2028, I made my endorsement. It's Trump. A man like Trump comes along once in a nation's history. Hell, we're blessed by God in heaven and have had 2. We had General Washington at the birth of the nation, the revolution and the birth of this country. We had Abraham Lincoln at the rebirth of this nation. And we had Donald John Trump to make America great again and renew this nation.
All righty, guys. He said he's got a plan. He said he's endorsing Trump. And this actually came out, guys, by one super reputable person on Carly Bonet on X that 12 more years revealed how Trump could be president until 2037 due to a simple loophole in the Constitution. Let me know your thoughts, guys. We're reporting you this breaking news, but there's a lot of talks going on, so we'll see. Want to say thank you, Mr. Norby, for the super chat. Let's go. He said, thank you, everyone who has shared the family here. I'm pleased that the truth is finally out in the open. The truth is finally coming out, and the Democrats are being exposed, baby. Let's go. Y'all show Mr. Norby some love in the chat. And you know what else I love? I truly love that we were talking about this, guys, back in October, September. What could happen if Trump got into office? And now we're actually seeing it, and it's so amazing. We're actually seeing the boots to the ground, the real life reality of cleaning up government. And not only cleaning it up, guys, Trump is wanting to expand it, and he's getting a lot more support. Check this out.
Congresswoman Anna Paulina Loina joins me now. You are so young, Congresswoman, that I'm going to ask you how old you are. How old are you?
I'm 35.
All right, so you're incredibly young, you're 35, and you see this new generation coming up. Do you understand how important this is? The president does.
Yeah, most certainly. In fact, Jesse, it's interesting that you're bringing that up. I'm currently working on something that would allow new parents and specifically female members of Congress to vote by proxy when they're recovering from childbirth. So look, we need a younger Congress. We are currently seeing right now that the American people want to have young representation. We have to carry the torch. And it means bringing some of these institutional changes that I believe will be better for the American people in the long run.
And if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's why Greenland is necessary. Do you have colleagues in the House that are against taking Greenland?
No, I don't think so. Well, actually, I take that back. I think that there's been some murmurs of people that think that it might just be messaging, but I would actually argue from a strategic standpoint, Jesse, that that would actually be a great location for us, not to mention from what I gather, the people of Greenland are very much supportive of becoming potentially a U.S. territory. And so I'm supportive of it. Why would we not want to expand our message and really have people that are for the America First and pro-American ideology?
When we talk tariffs and trade and the president talks about buying American, why is that important? People don't usually get it.
Well, as of right now, specifically in the 70s, when big corporations started sending industry overseas, what ultimately ended up happening is it actually hurt us back home. A lot of jobs ended up going down. We obviously lost our steel industry. And so when the president talks about reciprocal tariffs, it's important for people to realize that's actually a very good negotiating tool as well. What ends up happening is those countries no longer want to, for example, like China, put 100% tariff on product if we are charging them then the same. And so it actually will help in the long run to not just bring costs down for the American people, but also manufacturing back to the United States. I've actually been a huge advocate for the president's perspective on this idea.
Good. And we're hearing a rumor there might be a hearing about the JFK situation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we actually have our hearing coming up on April 1st. That is not April Fool's Day. That's when the hearing is going to be. And we actually just confirmed today that the director, Oliver Stone, will be testifying at that hearing, as well as Jeff Morley and a few other people. You know, there's been some incredible breakthrough on these declassified documents, and kudos to President Trump for following through on his campaign promise to fully declassify. But look, Jesse, we need to ensure that the American people deserve the truth, get down to the facts of what actually happened. And I do believe that the Warren Commission never did give the American people the facts. And so we have those. We're excited to present them to the American people, and there's more to come on that.
Yeah, Jeff Morley, who was on my show, who's going to be testifying to your committee next week, he said because of these new releases, it's conclusive that the CIA was running Oswald, running him. And he also said that he doesn't think all of the documents have been released. Is that your understanding too?
Yeah, so we're actually in the process of tracking down 2 specific documents. And also, too, Jesse, I would like to actually tell the American people, it was made aware to me this evening that NBC actually has a video that's never been seen before. We're actually going to be sending a letter requesting that from NBC because it allegedly shows Oswald near the vehicle when the assassination took place, which means that he couldn't have been the shooter. So, again, we're tracking down all this information. But look, there's even a CIA document that came out that Mr. Morley pointed out that actually said that the CIA never bought the lone gunman theory. And so I think the American people had an inclination as to what we were saying, but we never had the hard evidence until now. And so it's important to note that in a free and fair society, how could you operate or have an agency operating in the shadows? And so kudos to President Trump, also Director Radcliffe and Tulsi Gabbard for pushing for this transparency. It is going to be generational changing that they've done this, and we hope to bring forward legislation to ensure that this never happens again for future generations to come.
You're saying NBC has been keeping this tape of Oswald under wraps?
Correct. In fact, Director Stone actually told us that he was showed this tape, that it was a secondary copy, and that he said that this could blow open the entire JFK investigation. What I will also tell you, though, Jesse, is he said that NBC has been very, very much so guarding this tape. And so I believe that that tape belongs to the American people. We are going to be sending a letter asking for that tape. And I would encourage everyone to ask NBC to release that tape to the public. It's important, not just for our investigations, but so the American people know the truth as to what happened with John F. Kennedy.
All right. Well, I think they will release it because I believe the president will probably put it on Truth Social pretty soon. All right, Congresswoman Anna Paulina
well, hopefully
Luna.
Fox promotes it. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Guys, again, too, like we're literally living in the time of just exposing everybody, guys. And again, too, what I love is I love showing you the clips where people get the smackdown. But again, it's time and time again. You cannot deny logic and facts, and the Democrats sometimes are such big hypocrites. Like, you can't even, it's like we're not even talking the same language anymore. Listen to this.
This isn't. cowboys and Indians and calling for scalps. This is actually what most people would think was if someone has behaved in a way that puts American lives at risk, they should be held accountable for it.
Scott, what's your response?
Laura, may I, since she addressed me, I'll answer it.
Please.
In a Democratic, you don't have to make up hypotheticals, Lulu, about if this happened in a Democratic administration. Let me take you back in time. In a Democratic administration, the Secretary of Defense oversaw a disastrous military operation in which 13 servicemen died in Afghanistan. Then, to try to make up for it, they vaporized like 7 children in a drone strike. Then later, the Secretary of Defense went AWOL and didn't even tell the commander-in-chief.
This is a completely
you don't
different
have to
thing
come
that
up
you're
with a hypothetical,
these are two
Lulu,
different things that you're discussing.
the bar
And I can take
apparently
you
is
back in
very
time,
high,
Scott, and I
very
can talk
high for
about the Iraq
dismissing a
War.
Secretary of Defense.
I don't want your words to
we
fall
can-
on
we can
ears
do
that
this as
cannot
much
hear
as you
you.
like.
Lula, what's your reaction?
My reaction is it's not the same thing. I can.
Are you kidding me? She literally said when they put American lives at risk, Americans literally lost their lives. No American lost their life in this what they call the Signal Gate.
Can take you back in time and talk about the Iraq
You're
War.
right, because people
There are
died.
different things
People
that
died in the
make.
last
There
case
are
and not in
people
this
make
case.
mistakes. This was using an unsecure method of discussion by the top members of this administration to discuss top secret, a top secret and
Who
very
died? In which
important
case did people die?
military
In which
operation.
case did people
to hear
die?
her
This
finish
is
her
not the
point,
same
Scott.
Do you hear this, guys? Undeniable. Can't deny it. You want to talk about the security? Well, nobody died this time, but how many people died last time? Little Shoe, thank you so much for gifting 5 True Life News memberships. Let's go. Y'all show Little Shoe some love in the chat if you got a membership, guys. That is so amazing. Growing the True Life News family. Want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to all of our subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining the True Life News family, guys. We want you here. We want to serve you. We want to bring you the truth every single day. 2 shows, Monday through Friday, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, with all the breaking news. And you see it, guys. We show you things from everywhere. We're not just a one show, one outlet type of show. We want to bring you the truth, bring you all the receipts, and make sure that you're taken care of when it comes to the news. And if you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, y'all are so amazing. I love getting to serve y'all every single day, and I love seeing this community grow. When you share these videos, when you like these videos, it means the world to us. And I love it that this channel, you've seen me on stream, literally has given over $31,000 to charity in the past 6 months. And we're going to do it again this next month, which I'll be announcing Monday. The next charity we'll be giving to. But I want to give some love to, and if you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join. Remember, we use this money and we give back to charity. I want to give some love to Monty Grayag, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, Gene Kopedge, George Soto, What's New, Summerman, Deanna Rankin, Mr. Hedonite, Deanna AZ, and Little Shoe. Guys, show them some love in the chat. I hope that you're enjoying these shows. I hope that you're getting value out of them. That we want to bust our butt and do the best job we can because, again, too, there's so much out there. We want to make sure that you get the truth. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.